Good afternoon, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed some of my emoji humor. I don't always use emojis, but when I do, it usually includes a poop icon because it's kind of funny. Sorry, that's just my sense of humor right now with potty training twins that are 3. Ooh. Anyways, no, but really, when thinking about dryer sheets, that's the way that I feel, is just they are so stinky smelly. I used to use them and I can't believe I did, and it's kind of funny that once you learn something, you don't go back. So anyways, I was talking to someone last night who I have these dryer ball sets that have 4 wool dryer balls and lavender in them, and I was selling her one, and she was talking to me about static electricity, and she said that she uses a static spray to combat that, and her whole point is she's trying to have a chemical-free lifestyle. And I was like, well, then you don't want to use the static spray. And she was like, well, how do you prevent static? And then with using wool balls in your dryer, like, how do you prevent static? I was like, let me tell you. And I pulled out all of my science teacher knowledge from when I taught 4th grade 4 years ago. And it was pretty awesome that I was able to remember it the way that I did. But anyways, I had some friends ask questions about it. So anyways, I thought I would just do a video and kind of explain how static works, how dryer balls work, and the benefit of them. So the whole idea of using dryer balls in our dryers is that it helps. And so here, I'm going to go ahead and just pop this one out. So as we have the dryer balls, they just kind of fluff around the cloth, and so it creates these air pockets. Normally, if you weren't to use them, the cloth is just all stuck together, and so as it's drying around, it's going to kind of be harder to get air circulating through there, and it takes longer to dry. Eventually it will get dry, but it takes longer. So if you have these in there, the cloth, as it's going around, it's not going to just stick to that. It's going to kind of bounce off and kind of move around. So benefit of that is that your dryer cycle is going to take less time. The clothes, so you're using less energy, using less heat, and your clothes actually will be softer because they are going here. Stephanie, I will answer your question in just a little bit. I'm going to be on a roll, and if I stop, then I'm going to forget. But I will answer your question. I'll answer all questions at the end. So anyways, as they're kind of going around, air pockets are in there, and it circulates, and it works great. Now, a lot of people will say, wait a second, but you're using wool dryer balls. Like, why? Because wool creates static. Well, if you were to let this go the full dryer length, then yeah, it is going to create static, and I'll talk about why in a minute. So what you want to do instead is you want to just play around with the machine settings. You want to do it on a timed dry, not on that sensor dry. It's nice that they have the sensor. We just ignore it. Just do time dry. You have to figure out with your machine how long that takes. So it'll take a few loads for you to figure it out once you start using dryer balls. But anyways, it'll start circulating, and you'll see when it is dry. If you find that there is a lot of static in your dryer, then that means that you've let it go too long. So anyways, let's talk about why we have static electricity. So static electricity is the buildup of charges on, sorry, gotta mute that. It's the buildup of charges on a material that repel each other. So let's take cloth, for example, because we're talking about dryers. So we have that cloth, and if there is a buildup of charges, and this part of the cloth is positively charged and this part is negatively charged, they want to get together. And so what we want to do is we want to make sure they don't get that charge. They get that charge from friction. So as the clothes are going around in the dryer and they're creating friction, they will potentially have opposite charges, meaning they're going to attract, meaning there is static. if we think of our hair as having static, it's because they actually have, as we have really, really cold air, a dry air, really it's the dryness in the air, the hair particles, the hair follicles, will have similar charges. Similar charges repel. So instead of, being all nice and straight together, they start going like this because they're repelling from each other, which causes static. So what are ways that we can do to combat static? Well, add some moisture in there. Easiest way is water. But you'll also notice that greasy hair does not have static. The oils and the whatever, the butters, any of that's in greasy hair or in hair product or in static spray, it's going to make it so that those charges cannot build up. If the charges aren't building up, we're not going to have that static hair or the static in our clothes. But yeah, you can buy chemical-ridden static spray. You can buy dryer sheets, which really all it's doing is putting a film of whatever that substance is on those dryer sheets, probably I think it's a waxy fragrance, onto your clothes. I will say from my cloth diapering days, you don't want that waxy stuff on your clothes because it takes forever to get out. If you've ever shopped at a secondhand store and you've bought clothes that have a smell to it, you'll find the same thing. In fact, that's the number one reason why I cannot shop at secondhand clothing stores, especially kids' clothing stores, because just about every single piece of clothing that they have has dryer sheet smell on it of some kind. And you cannot get that out. I mean, you can, but I'd be wasting tons of water and energy in hot soaks to try to strip the clothes from that waxy buildup. Plus, who knows what it's doing to my washing machine as I'm doing that. So anyways, there are lots of ways that we can combat static, but water is the number one way, in my opinion. And you know what? It dries. So if you find that your clothes have static on them, instead of going for a static spray that you have to pay for, take your hands, stick them under the sink, rub them together, and put them on whatever is staticky. You might be damp for about 5 seconds, but it will dry and you won't have static. That's what I like to do. Now on hair, I know that that's a little bit different, so you might want to, I still like doing it with water because it's free, but there are other options that you can do. So let me just look at my notes and just see. I'll read to you what I wrote to her. How about that? Just to make sure that I've covered everything. So the dryer balls keep the clothes separated, so there's more air that circulates and it dries faster. The more dryer balls that you use, the faster it works. So that's answering your question, Stephanie. So the sets that Young Living sold, they're actually unavailable anymore. I have a few sets that I am selling, but can't get them through the catalog, but they're selling sets of 4. I'd say that's the bare minimum you would want to use. I have 8 in my dryer at any maximum time. Most of the time I have fewer because they get lost in clothes. And then when I'm folding clothes, then I'll find them and we'll stick them back in the dryer. So anyways, you want to use as many as you can. The more you use, the faster that it dries. And it should save you energy as well. But if you find that you're getting static, it's because you're letting the clothes dry for too long. And that means that you have to play around with the dryer time and settings. And I would definitely recommend not using any sort of sprays. And the point of the dryer balls is to get rid of the chemicals from the dryer sheets. And so static can be neutralized when it's slightly dampened. So if you're really, really worried about static, err on the side of letting your clothes be a little damp, and then you can hang them up if you want, or just kind of play around with that setting a bit. Let's see. So again, about static. Static is just when the particles in the material have a similar charge and they repel like the same sides of a magnet. So we can alter that either by a static shock or by water, and we can fix that static electricity buildup. Oily hair doesn't have static, and it's because the oils in the hair follicle don't allow that electric buildup to happen. So anyways, that's just a little bit of that. Just again, my PSA for not using dryer sheets. I don't know what that waxy buildup on the dryer sheets is, but I know whatever the fragrance that they put on there is 100% chemicals. I mean, maybe there's some sort of plant derivative somewhere in there, but I will tell you that every single time I smell a dryer sheet, I can't. And I can't, the clothes, it's so hard. And especially once you have decided to go away from those fragrances, it's really hard to go back. So, and also a lot of people are finding that they have skin sensitivities, especially in the wintertime. We have a lot more flare-ups. Well, the number one thing that doctors recommend, I would recommend the same thing, is get away from the dryer sheets, get away from scented laundry detergent, get away from all of that stuff, get away from your fabric softener. There was actually a news article that was circulating through a lot of my friends recently, I think even the last couple of days, that said that millennials do not know how to use fabric softener, and they did a whole video on here's how you use it. Well, no, millennials are not dumb in that way that they don't know how to use fabric softener. They're choosing not to because they don't want the chemicals that come with it. So anyways, just something to think about, that we know that these fragrances are not good for our health. We know that they can lead to hormone imbalances. We know that they can lead to potential birth defects. We know that they can lead to illness, respiratory issues, all of that stuff. And so it is a smart decision to stay away from these fragrances. And the easiest way to eliminate one thing is your dryer sheets. Easiest way. Just get them gone. Stop using them, because what that does is whatever is on your clothes, it's on your skin all day long. And when it's on your skin all day long, skin is our largest organ, you guys. Our skin is absorbing those chemicals all day long. You wonder why you're sick? You wonder why you're not feeling well? You wonder why you're having all of these sources? Look at what you're putting on your skin and just start from. Sorry, I just got a phone call. Okay, anyways, I'm gonna stop because I gotta take that call. But anyways, I hope that you'll make the switch. It is the best decision I made. Bye.